All right, so we have just reviewed the four principles of the four main teachings, and then where they've been connected to in the Gita. Now, today, where we're going is where we're going to be focusing on, as we said, the first. Let's just share my screen again. So we're going to be going into that first agreement. So this is the start of section 2 in the start of section 2 in the book. And again, it's really wonderful because I feel that this section, this first section on setting out on the journey of the soul, it really has to do I see the main theme of this section is understanding and acceptance of where we are and what we, the commitment we need to make to embark, right? And so, a couple of pictures and quotes to capture this chapter is this one. If everyone remembers Lao Tzu, he's a really famous Chinese philosopher. In my martial arts study over the years, this is one that's always repeated because a student has to, always be remembering this, that a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. And it really speaks to Arjuna and all of our mindsets of the one that we need to have is that the road is going to be long, change is going to be over time and sometimes slower than we would like, but that we have to just look at what that next step is for us. And so again, just for those that have read the chapter in this beginning part, does anyone want to share? Was there any particular section from this initial section that they wanted to that jumped out of them, or they wanted to share specifically? I want to see what sections of this initial section 2 is resonating with everybody. For anyone that wants to share. And if not, that's fine. I just wanted to give everyone else a chance. All right. So if you remember, I really like this from Marianne Williamson. The spiritual journey is the unlearning of fear and the acceptance of love. And this is really getting at the core of where Arjuna starts and where he ends up from after what Krishna reveals to him. But I really, again, as I said, when we talked about commitment here, if you remember in this first part, Simon, he's very much getting at this one main point, right? He's getting at this point, just say yes. There's a lot of things we can say yes to, but just say yes to the spiritual journey, right? And so the first thing that I wanted, and we're going to do breakout rooms because we haven't done that in a little while. But the first element that I wanted people to think about in regards to this just saying yes is, what does yes to the spiritual journey mean to us, right? It's going to mean something different to everybody. And I wanted each of us to kind of, explore that with each other. So I'm going to take the opportunity for us to do breakout rooms because we haven't in a while, and hopefully it'll be a chance for us to meet somebody that we haven't ran into. So I'll just go ahead and make that. And for the person that is on their own, we will just go ahead and we'll have you join another room if there is someone. Oh, sorry. Okay, well, all right, everyone, you should see a room that you can join, and I'll probably sign. Hopefully everyone sees a room they can join. Yes.
What's the question?
What's the question?
Oh, so the question, if you remember, I'll put it in the chat, but what does saying yes to the spiritual journey mean to us? Okay. Right? And so that is the question, just to kind of kickstart the conversation and just give everyone a few minutes to talk to someone else about it. So we will, hopefully everyone is in a room. Is everyone seeing this? Oh, perfect. All right, hopefully everyone's back. Does anyone want to share anything that came about from their room about any insights, anything at all? I was in the room with Tiffany and Stacy, and there was a really great discussion on our, the work environment sometimes we're in. I was saying that if we don't necessarily have a good, great, the best job, or we're not loving what we do, but if we have a great work environment, I feel that the supportive work environment can move us towards where we want to go in terms of the type of work we may want to do. But if you have the perfect job and the, not a great work environment to execute that job, you can't do the opposite won't, hold up. And we were just speaking, or at least that was one of the things that I was sharing from our group. I think Avni, you wanted to share something?
Yes, where am I? Yep, here I am. Hi. So I had the amazing opportunity to be in the room with Paul, and we should have discussed that, Paul. What was our calling into the spiritual world? We didn't talk about that, but we discussed actually, when did we start this journey? Because we're both definitely on this journey, all of us are, I think, in this room. So and so he explained when it was quite early on for both of us, but we both admitted that it's been quite a cycle. So it's in and out. So you get very deep, and then you get carried away with life again, and then you get very deep, and then you get carried with life. And I hope it's okay to say this, Paul, and I hope it's the right conclusion. But I think this activity with the Titans, the Dharma Code, and the yoga and the dark night of the soul has pulled us even more into it, and allowed us to basically get deep and also be deep into reflective, but also approach, even though we're busy. So you are within it. So you can get distracted sometimes with life and with trucks, but we're in it, Ricken. We're here, and we're here to stay.
There we go. And remember, at the beginning of this chapter, it says, Krishna advises, no, go into the heart of the difficulty. In the Gita, we learn to take our chariot into the center of conflict, right? So it says here, yoga teaches how to tolerate the discomfort without acting or reacting from our small human stories. And I feel that just coming together on a weekly basis. Paul, I don't know if I shared this with you, but one of my mentors, his description of balance is something that always stays with me, because it speaks to that kind of coming off and on. But, balance doesn't mean in life we're always traveling in a straight line. Balance means that when we come off the center, we know how to come back to the center, right? That's in fact what balance is. And it acknowledges that there's going to be times where we're going to be up late at night. We're not maybe doing our morning routines as best as we like because other priorities have come up, but we know how to come back to that center. And I feel that this group, at least weekly, helps, hopefully in some way bring us back to that center. So thank you for sharing that.
And I love it. I think I'm getting back to the center quicker and quicker with the more that we study. The other thing I quickly want to say is that you said, what does it mean to us? Why are we on this spiritual journey? We said that basically it's to be in touch with our soul, but not only that, is to be a better person for the people around us, as well as ourselves. That's what it means for us, and it's the well-being of our soul. I actually explained to Paul that actually I no longer think of, I do, but I no longer think of just Avni. I think of the soul and the huge lives it's got in front of it. So it's the well-being of the soul. So that's where we came from. What does it mean for us?
Yeah, no, wow, that's and that's exactly where the journey of this book is trying to take us, is that we're trying to, again, step out of our own story, identify with our inner potential and greatness, and try to bring that into the world more so, which just means we have to, again, we always talk about it's within us, but it's kind of mirrored or covered by dust. And this is really just the weekly cleaning process to uncover it.
just one quick thing, because he really made an impression. Sorry.
Please.
The other thing is that I asked him that, I find myself on this spiritual journey, but I find myself colliding with a lot of people who I was doing what I thought was fun before, but now I'm doing what I think is fun in terms of spiritual. So some people are not liking it. So and so Paul said it was amazing what he said. He's like, I said to him, how do you deal with that? If you're in a conversation and it's not going in the way that you want, or you're doing an action and it doesn't agree with you. He said it's like water flowing over rocks. So I'm going to be more like water flowing over rocks, that I hope I don't collide with any rocks.
That's nice, Paul. She's sharing all the wisdom that you've imparted. This is amazing.
There's some of my wisdom there.
No, there was the.
Sorry, sorry, I didn't mean that. It just seems like you're referring to Paul when you're quoting everything. But Paul, please.
I honestly, I think the conversation with Avni and and the group entirely is just something that I really enjoy and look forward to every week. You're all phenomenal people, and I love being on the journey together with you. We are a rare bunch for sure. But no, I think in terms of the learnings and what it means to say yes to the spiritual journey, taking time for myself has been a very big one. And sort of realizing that when I don't is when I'm not in balance, and realizing that I need to get back on it. And I think one of the things that Avni said, which was, I didn't get it first. And she's like, is it like surrendering? I'm like, I don't know if it's surrendering. No, you mean surrendering to the power of the universe. Yes, like I do. And I am increasingly becoming aware that the more I just do the right things, and the more the universe puts me on the flow of where I want to go. Like it's incredibly powerful. But,
yeah. Thank you, Paul. It's it's great. I mean, it's just amazing to see where we've all gone as a group together. And I want to just we talked about just what the group feels is their yes. And Arjuna, Simon lays out what Arjuna kind of, states his yeses and what those three things encapsulate. But I'll just start off with just reading a small little section that speaks to what everyone is saying. It says, we can't set out on a journey of the soul unless we believe the journey is worth taking. This begins with an understanding. This begins with an understanding that the dark night of the soul is not a dangerous experience, but a natural, if not necessary, process. It's a rite of passage, a spiritual initiation. We drive our chariots on the field of life. The chariot is our body, the five horses are our five senses. Although our illusory ego currently the charioteer, we are not without the presence of Krishna, the universal teacher seated in our heart. The universal teacher is the intuitive voice of truth guiding us from within. If we allow Krishna to guide our chariot rather than the ego, then we're invincible and unassailable, whatever may happen on the often riotous and turbulent field of life. In other words, if we can guide our chariot by higher wisdom and yoga, we're sure to achieve victory and success. Krishna is Arjuna's mentor throughout the dark night, his guide, his shaman. Krishna is also Arjuna's best friend. He's not some unknown guru. Rather, Arjuna knows he can trust Krishna, and such hides nothing from him. As Arjuna discovers later in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is also no ordinary person. He is the soul of the universe, the universal teacher within each of us. Taking shelter of higher knowledge is a known idea, is known in India as Sharanagati, the way of surrender, or the way of taking refuge. Unlike Arjuna, Emperor Dhritarashtra is closed off to spiritual guidance. He hears the same Bhagavad Gita that Arjuna hears, but it has no effect on him. This is because he never sets off on the yoga journey. He never enters into the first agreement, set out on the journey of the soul. Locked up in his palace in Hastinapur, he is trapped in his egoic story, a false emperor in a false kingdom. Higher knowledge or wisdom is of no value or purpose if we're not receptive to it. Just as Arjuna trusts Krishna, who always has the best interests at heart, The universal teacher has our best interests at heart. Trusting our inner guide who manifests in our life in a myriad of ways and reveals yoga's secrets to us on our journey of the soul is an important part of the first agreement. Without such trust, we never truly embark on our own yoga journey. This sojourn is into the unknown. Guided by the ancient yoga teachings, we'll need to surrender the urge to control. Oh, we have some people joining us. Welcome to Livia and Rita that are joining us. It's nice to have you. We were just reading from a small little section at the beginning of part 2, where we are now in the yoga in the dark night of the soul. And so for those that heard that little section, do they want to recap, or have they identified the three elements of the first agreement, right? The first agreement, which we said that the first kind of agreement was, I'm going to just share my screen, was this, what does it look like to say that we're setting out on the journey of the soul, right? So Arjuna describes that the first part is honor the dark night as a rite of passage. And I was really thinking about this. I'll have people share first, but one of the things that I wanted us to all maybe take a moment to opportunity to reflect on is to look at either a dark night that is currently happening or that's happened in the past. And is there a part of our dark night that we did not embrace or accept in the past? And again, remember I said this whole first element of honoring that dark night, it has to do with acceptance, right? And if we did accept, if we didn't embrace a certain part of our dark night in the past, did it show up again, or is it there now? And this is really just, again, an opportunity for us just to reflect on something that's happened in the past or that's going on now, and taking a moment to try to identify perhaps potentially a common theme if there has been a recurrence, or something that we're maybe not fully embracing or leaning into that we should. So I just wanted everyone to take an opportunity, because it'll speak to the conversation we're going into next here. But again, remember the theme here, or the first element in the agreement that Arjuna sets up in having his, saying yes to the spiritual journey, is this honoring the dark night as the rite of passage. And the question that we're using right now, just to kind of excavate that a little bit, is again, acceptance. Is there a section of our own dark night that we have not embraced or accepted in the past? And if we perhaps haven't, have we seen it show up in any way, shape, or form? So I'll just give everyone a couple minutes just to, sit and ponder that. Because usually for some of us, if there has been perhaps potentially more than one dark night, there might be a theme that we can see that has reoccurred, or at least I've seen that for myself. And again, reflect on just what honoring that dark night as a rite of passage potentially means to us. Again, it may mean something different to everybody. What does that honoring mean? And again, a big part of honoring will be acceptance. So trying to see if there was something in the past that we haven't.
I have a comment, Ricken.
Please, Stacy, we can move into comments or thoughts.
So I was thinking about, one of the things that I have often done, right, as gone through times that are difficult, is just to kind of escape through just doing things, right? Escape into work and just everything that needs to be done. And that then keeps me, right, from really going through, right, going through it. It's like a way of escaping. And I think honoring the dark night is about taking that time to actually reflect, prioritizing, right? To really think about, what I've gone through, what it means, right? What I can take from it. And then also having the opportunity to share, taking the opportunity to share some of that, and then seeing that others go through very similar things, right? And we can all learn from it. So, and I think that's what it means to me.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. And it speaks to a conversation I was just recently having with Avni, where I was, mentioning to her how life can just, totally, it pull you in, and sometimes with a lot of great things, but, we still need time to be able to continuously be able to reflect and prioritize and make a plan, right? Otherwise it's just so easy to get pulled off into so many directions. And so I will happily report to Avni that, part of my making a plan is trying to go back to, this weekly design system that Robin had given us quite a while back. And yeah, thank you so much for bringing up this tendency of just trying to, be busy. And, there's no problem being busy, but are we busy? Are we busy with what's giving us value and meaning, right? I think that takes intention and that takes prioritization. So thank you so much for sharing that. Anyone else wanted to share anything that that came up in either the question or just in general, like what does this honoring the dark night of a rite passage mean to them? I had some thoughts, but I wanted to hear from others.
Yeah, I'll just share.
Please.
Rima, why don't you go ahead? I've shared a lot. So Rima, I would love to hear from you. Go ahead.
So it kind of links to the first question too of saying yes to the spiritual journey, but also honoring the passage. And I think for me, what came up is having faith and it's what saying yes to the spiritual journey is, that in hard times that there is bigger meaning behind what's going on and that we can't see it. And so there is the acceptance of letting go of control. And so that's what comes up for me in honoring the passage, is letting go of control and just having faith.
Yeah, wow, that's really, and that's a really big step, because I think for many of us in our life, things have perhaps potentially go our way, but it usually requires a situation where, eventually our effort can't meet the demands of life, and then there has to be some sort of surrender. Thank you for sharing that, Rima. Anybody else wanted to share? Avantika, I guess for Avantika, Livia, and Radhika, for those that haven't been on before, Rima's my sister.
Yeah, so if we have time, I guess the perspective that came while I was reflecting on this question and also was having a lovely conversation with Hiba is that I wanted to bring up the context of the dark night of the light seeker, or the which is already, I think almost everyone here is evolved spiritually, and they when I was about 5 years old, my parents had some situation, and so my sister and I were put into a hostel for just a very brief amount of time, literally just for 6 months, but I didn't know that. And in their attempts to kind of, they handled it a little clumsily with greatest of intentions, so they didn't tell us. So we just found ourselves, in a new city with, in this really hostile environment. Because they felt that if they would spare us all of that thing, the trauma would be less, but in fact it was a lot more. And at that time, the dark night of the soul was because we bought into the story so much, and imagine the worst case scenario and everything. And then, when I was in the 20s, the next dark night was when I had a brain tumor diagnosis. And then the next one was when I was in my early 30s, where a really important relationship in my life fell apart. And then when I was in my late 30s, it was when I was doing something, my identity that I thought it was being some sort of a head honcho in the corporate world. And that started kind of, not feeling authentic and things like that. And now I'm an entrepreneur running a thing. But the pattern in all of these dark nights has been that the younger as we are as a soul and as an experiencer or a thing, the easier it is to kind of get caught up in that story, in the drama, and to kind of say, oh gosh, get into the victim consciousness, get into the blame and thing, and try to control things or shut down or bottle down. And when I was having the conversation with Heba, it was so easy for me to see that, I think Avni brought this up, Tiffany brought this up, that how effortlessly it is now to transition through these passages, because we've got more and more into the observer mode, more and more into we don't buy into the story so much. So when something comes up, it's just a blip and like, okay, that's what it is. And then you just kind of move on. So it's been, I think, the light seeker in us, the person who is the evolved soul, goes through multiple dark nights. In each one, the consistent pattern for me at least has been to surrender more, to understand that you are exactly where you're supposed to be. There's a reason behind this. Every dark night leads to some meaningful part in your journey, and you learn something out of it. And then, you get to kind of, so it's a very meaningful, orchestrated part of things. And that's really what I love about this whole process of the dark night. And now when something, unexpectedly or shockingly or traumatizing happens that I don't have control over, I'm like, ooh, what's the nugget that's hidden in here?
That's amazing, Avantika. Just approaching, even the most difficult situations from a place of curiosity. And, as I always say, what is the opportunity here? It's, I feel that it's really, to me, Avantika, it's really, where you're at is, the pinnacle is where, both we're undisturbed in both success and failure, ups and downs, right? But at least with that mindset of learning, even in the good times, right? Even in the good times, like, okay, things went well, but how can we improve, right? But more specifically, if a difficult time comes, what is the nugget, right? And having that zest for what is the nugget is it's not the easiest thing, because it's usually going to clash with our ego, right? So thank you for that.
Do you remember that, Rikin, yesterday in the upbuild conversation, remembering who we are, Maria said, there was a lady who said that Maria, she said that when she gets triggered, then she says, oh, she takes it, she said it just like you, oh, this is a game. Yeah. So where's my ego at? Remember she said that?
Yeah, no, that's great. So some points that and for me, again, thanks for sharing, Avantika. I wanted to just share some thoughts that came to me when I was reading this first section of Honoring the Dark Night. And to me, the reason why this section is really, really important is because Simon really speaks to this point. We'll read the specific section, but how everyone feels like they need to go through their dark night on their own, and it's shunned in society, right? And so to me, really the best thing we can do in this group is to be part of the solution, which means when we honor our dark night, it also hopefully gives someone the opportunity in future to, an opportunity to honor their dark night. And to me, this honoring of the dark night is really all about developing compassion first for, allowing, recognizing the feelings in ourselves, but then seeing, to me, I always think of compassion as, the other individual's pain is our pain, right? And the other individual's happiness is our happiness. And honoring that dark night is about developing that compassion and also creating the safety for others to be able to experience theirs, because this is really what the world is lacking right now, is this collective, acknowledgement of that we're, to me, we're the sense of we're all in this together, right? And that I'm here to walk with you, right? I'm not here to push you down. I'm not here to, make myself feel more superior. No, we all have our own, challenges. Again, they may look a little bit different, but again, this power of, this honoring the dark night, again, to me, when I was reading this section, was all about really trying to go within deeper ourselves, and then to the point where we can be vulnerable to, again, create that safety for others. And that's what I feel like everyone is doing here every time in this group. Again, it takes time to build the trust, but I really feel we've come to a totally different place where we're starting to, share challenging experiences in our life, and we know that the safety is there. And my desire for every single one of us is to now, to help take this and be that for others. Because to me, this is really what honoring the dark night as a rite of passage is really just trying to create that space for others. And I'll read something that speaks to that from this book. As he says here, in our culture, crisis is treated much like excrement. What is natural process to all living things is for us hidden behind closed doors. If we expose the release of waste matter, be it physical waste or the emotional waste that surfaces in a crisis, it is met with shame, and even the slightest scent can be deemed offensive. And yet, just as beautiful fragrant flowers grow out of dung or fertilizers, some of our greatest gifts may emerge from our darkest and most difficult periods. In ancient India, this is represented by the lotus flower, which grows out of the muck. No muck, no lotus. In our society, there's no understanding of and no space for the dark night of the soul. We disguise our sorrow. No one wants to be looking mental. No one wants to be labeled with a nervous breakdown. There's often no one to turn to for help either. Well-meaning friends will say, pull yourself together, let it go, just move on with your life. Doctors can't really help. They lack the wisdom to treat the root cause of the suffering. They'll simply medicate. Where is our shaman? Where is our teacher? Where is our Krishna? Our society tends to view dark nights in clinical terms as obstacles to overcome as quickly as possible. Though times and dark episodes are really medicated with little thought, or else brushed under the rug. But periods of darkness, despair, and emptiness are just as much a part of human life as periods of clarity and meaning. We do a disservice to ourselves when we treat these periods of despair as a deviation from normal and healthy life we idealize. In doing so, we suppress and avoid a necessary element, not just in human life, but in all life, that permits regeneration after a period of decay. We need a view of life that includes darkness just as much as light. Spells of unknowing and emptiness leave their mark on us, yet they can add depth to our life and make us a person of compassion, kindness, and wisdom. Dark nights offer an opportunity for soul growth. The first step of yoga of despair is understanding and acceptance, rather than avoidance, denial, or escapism. These dark episodes need to be honored. When we suppress uncomfortable emotions, something tragic happens. All other emotions go into hiding. We shut down the entire faculty of emotion and begin to feel lifeless. Of course, that doesn't mean a dark night experience is easy. It can be excruciatingly difficult, but it's a rite of passage of sorts, and it's a life experience embraced in earlier societies. The ideologies of dominant Western thought have laid waste to this wisdom. We tend to think of our life as continuous line from birth to death. Along this line, we sometimes flourish, while at other times we fall into stagnancy. When life is viewed as a series of transformation or traditional rites of passage, as it was in ancient India, our emergence of each of these crises births new capacities and talents. An innately spiritual being, we are infinitely greater than the protagonist in our small and invented earthly narrative. In the dark night of the soul, the old self dies or is cast away, and a larger, greater sense of self can emerge. In the end, the dark night of the soul reshapes us. We may emerge a different person. We may finally give up the simplistic persona we had until now used. If the dark night is a rite of passage, our job is to allow transformation to take place. So that ends that section. And again, to me, really what was shining through for myself, but hopefully for all of us, is just, to be, again, what Simon was saying, those agents of compassion, kindness, and wisdom in honoring our dark night. Does anyone have any closing comments to share? This is a really powerful section. And I really wanted to kind of bring it back to, our journey, but then also how we can hopefully, be a vehicle or instrument for others in theirs. Because really, this is what I feel is, what Simon is speaking of is of such great urgency and need in the world today.
Morning, Ricken. How are you?
Hey, Livia, how are you? Good to have
Joining
you.
late today. I really love the topic. I'm going through a dark night right now, so it's interesting to reflect on it, and at the same time not having gotten out of it. Sometimes, like you tend to fall in a state of passivity, right? And your loved ones always try to push you away from that, right? Just like Western society mostly does, like you need to get back, like move on, go back to normal life. And then I wonder, like, okay, I may get annoyed or irritated at that push, but at the same time, perhaps it is helpful to a certain extent or balancing. I'm not sure what others think of that.
Yeah, Livia, thank you for bringing this up. I was just having this conversation with Palak yesterday, and this, this point that I was bringing up is that, and I wanted just to kind of open this up to everyone as a thought, but sometimes in life, we have people that maybe, things come our way that might sound harsh. It may not rub us the right way, and we may push it away. But I think, we can all recognize when loved ones speak to us, is it coming from a place of, pushing us down, or is it coming from a place where they want to push us up and see us grow? And I think if we see necessarily what I call constructive criticism or feedback, from that light, that, if it's coming from a place of wanting to push us up, like, it's like a burning feeling we have to like endure and work through, because it's for our betterment, right? And I'm just mentioning that right now because those are the opportunities. Again, they usually will come from loved ones because the filters aren't there. But we really have to try to, as best as possible, live through that burn, that inner burn. And we've all felt that inner burn, and try to, rise to the occasion rather than just, okay, this is not for me. So thank you, Livia, for, just reminding me and just, allowing me to just bring up this point that I just was speaking about yesterday.
Yeah, thank you. It's just having the balance between listening to your body and accepting what's going on, and then at the same time pushing yourself to have that zest for life. That's been my struggle. Yeah,
no, and I think nothing of, it's something that Radhan Swami had mentioned to me one time, was that nothing of value in life comes without some type of, difficulty or struggle, right? Everything we value, every relationship, every achievement, everything we've accomplished has come, even if, fruitful relationships, they've come, with the best relations, I'm sure everyone can say, have been the ones where sometimes there's been the most conflict too, right? Because, you come out with like a new, like, approach and a new, like, way of understanding others and understanding yourself. And inevitably that conflict will grow each other. But, and so I always try to embrace, especially the closest relations in our life, try to embrace that, those difficult times and the, potential conflict, because there's such an opportunity for coming out renewed and completely, changed and new. But going through that, I mean, it's not easy. So thank you, Olivia, for sharing that, really.
Thank you.
But on that note, I know we're like running past 7 o'clock. If anyone has anything else to share, but I really appreciated today's discussion and, this reflection on honoring that dark night as a rite of passage.
Just to answer Livia's question in one line, the book Jonathan Livingston Seagull, I'm sure everyone has read it or heard of it. will have a lot of the answers, because sometimes when you're trying to leave the trodden path that is familiar to the thing, there will be an equilibrium point that you'll kind of be dragged back into. So that story has a lot of profound knowledge and wisdom as to how one can. It's very difficult to be a prophet in your own town.
Thank you. I haven't read that. Do you mind writing it down on chat again for me? Thank you.
I love that saying. If I haven't heard it like that before, you can't be a prophet in your own. I love it. All right, everyone. We will thank you for sharing that. I'm going to definitely note that too. And yeah, it was really great to see everybody today. Looking forward to next week. And I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, look out for the, there's not a Titan Zoom this week, but there will, hopefully we're scheduling something for next week. Oh, sorry, one more thing. Sorry, I have to share this before we go, because this is something that I've been wanting to let everyone know about for a little while, and I just haven't been able to announce it, but I want to, since we're here. I'm going to try to see if I can share my screen. Will allow, yeah, okay. So something that's really exciting that's coming about is, I don't know if people can see this, but we're officially going to be hosting our first retreat. And I'm pairing up with Harisham. For those that have joined us recently, he spoke on our own story. We're going to be doing what's called, he titled it Spiritual Detox, and it's going to be November 4th to November 8th. It's really inexpensive because we're really looking for growth and community here. It is in the United States, so maybe that's the only barrier. But again, if people are wanting more information, please reach out. This is a great opportunity for us. It's a really special place. It's a eco farm sanctuary. I'll put the link to it in the group, but I really wanted to give, this is kind of pairing up his people that he meets with on a weekly basis, called Thoughtful Thursdays, with Titan Global. So I wanted to finally let everyone know that this is happening in just over a month, and hoping that, at least a few people can make the journey to come out. And it's going to be, we have like such a great weekend planned, but just wanted to let everybody know.
Where is it going to be in America? Is it Michigan?
So we were trying to be there, it just couldn't work out this time, but this is in Pennsylvania. So
okay, I can probably go.
Yeah, so it's Gitanagari Eco Farms, a really, really special place that I'll tell you more about. But it's a little bit off the grid. There is there's a cow sanctuary there. There's acres and acres of just like open land, and yeah, it's basically it's not only a retreat center, it's also there's a temple there as well. So there's going to be a great opportunity for learning, mantra meditation, and speakers that we have scheduled for the weekend, but also really an opportunity for us to spend some time in person. So we are combining forces to host this together.
That's awesome, Rick. And can any part of it be, can any of the speakers or anything be?
Yeah, we'll try. Knowing that some of the group was away, I will try to have as much of it Zoomed as possible. Is that you were asking, right?
Yes, thank you. As we can, in terms of we can contribute to and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. So I know that might be, the barrier. So we will definitely try to get as much on Zoom. But again, for the whole weekend, for people that are coming in person, all the workshops, food, accommodation, $275 for the 4 days. So again, hopefully affordable to most, and we were trying to make it that way. So please, I'll put the link so you can see more information, and we'll go from there. But I meant to announce it this week because I forgot last week.
Amazing. Awesome. It'll be awesome. Well done.
All right, everyone, take care. Bye.